Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the place where we dig through stacks of source material and pull out crystal clear, actionable strategies.
And today, we're tackling a scenario that I think is painfully familiar for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, you spend months, maybe even years building the perfect product, a course, a service, some kind of tool. You pour everything into it.
You finally launch it, and then crickets. Or, just a slow, unpredictable trickle of sales. It's heartbreaking.
It is, and that unpredictability, that's really the core problem we're digging into.
It is. And the source material for this comes from Jeff Walker, who created what he calls the product launch formula. And it's all about eliminating that hope and replacing it with strategy.
And the numbers are pretty staggering, right?
Oh, they're huge. His students have generated something like over $400 million in sales. And it's not by, magically creating better products. It's by completely changing how they introduce them to the world.
Okay, so let's unpack that right there. The core insight is what? A launch isn't just an announcement.
Exactly. A successful launch is not an announcement. It is a meticulously orchestrated event.
An event. I like that. So it's about building a sequence, creating anticipation that leads to urgency, which is what drives the action.
That's the whole game. We're turning passive interest into real, committed action. And the system really focuses on two big outcomes. First, maximizing your conversion rate.
Right, turning browsers into buyers.
And second, something called product multiplication.
Okay, that's a new term for me. Product multiplication. What does that actually mean?
It means you take the same product, the same audience, but instead of that slow trickle of income, you generate these massive, predictable spikes in revenue.
So multiples of what you'd normally make.
Yes, by concentrating all that energy and, crucially, the customer's decision-making into a tiny window. So today, we're going to walk you through the 5 core principles that make this happen.
All right, let's get into it. Principle number 1 sounds like it completely flips the script on how we sell. It's called the sideways sales letter.
It really does. So, the traditional approach is you build this one monster sales page.
Right.
The long one that you scroll through forever.
That's the one. And you just send cold traffic to it and hope for the best. The sideways sales letter, or SSL, completely bypasses that.
Oh.
It's a pre-launch sequence. So before your cart is even open, before anyone can buy anything, you deliver 3 or 4 pieces of incredibly valuable content.
Over what kind of time frame?
Usually over about 7 to 10 days. And the absolute key here is that the goal is to teach, not to sell.
Okay, so there's a psychological payoff here. You're leading with value, which I guess lowers people's defenses, right? It builds trust immediately.
That is the exact mechanism. Your audience gets to experience your expertise firsthand for free. They start to trust you, and they think, wow, if the free stuff is this good.
The paid stuff must be incredible.
Precisely. So by the time the offer actually arrives, you're not fighting skepticism anymore. You're just fulfilling a demand that you've been carefully building for the last week. They're already pre-sold. The e-commerce course example from the source material really breaks this down well.
It's a perfect illustration. So instead of just dropping a link to the course, you'd send out 3 free videos first.
Like video 1 could be the 3 email mistakes costing you sales, something instantly useful.
Exactly. Then a few days later, video 2, the welcome sequence that doubled my revenue. And you actually give them the templates to copy and paste.
And the third one might be about a VIP segmentation system or something like that.
Yeah. And that content becomes your entire sales pitch. It's social proof because people share genuinely useful stuff. You're shifting from trying to convince people to just opening the doors for those who are already convinced.
So the SSL sets the stage, it builds the desire. But that brings us to principle 2, the mental triggers. How do we get people to actually act on that desire?
Right. This is where we move from delivering value to driving action. And this is all about understanding human psychology, not, manipulating people.
An important distinction.
A very important one. Because features and logic, they don't really sell. Emotions and psychological triggers do. The biggest enemy of any launch isn't a competitor, it's just procrastination.
We'll get to it later.
Which almost always means never.
So the source material lists a bunch of triggers, but let's focus on the 2 biggest ones that work with the SSL, reciprocity and scarcity. How does reciprocity come into play?
Well, reciprocity is baked right into principle 1, because you just gave away so much incredible free value, those templates, the lessons. Your audience feels a natural subconscious pull to give back.
So when you finally ask for the sale, it doesn't feel like a cold pitch.
Not at all. It feels like the next logical step. They're primed for it.
Okay, then you add the big one, scarcity, urgency. This is where I think a lot of people get nervous. It can feel pushy or inauthentic.
And it can be if it's fake. That's the key. This entire system relies on real deadlines. The cart has to actually close when you say it will.
So if you've already built that foundation of trust with the SSL,
Then the scarcity doesn't feel manipulative. It feels necessary. It feels like a real event with a real end date. You use countdown timers. You offer limited bonuses like the first 100 buyers get a free coaching call.
and that combination is what forces a decision. The productivity course example showed this perfectly. The free videos built the trust, and then the limited bonuses and the hard deadline got thousands of people to buy within, what, a 72-hour window?
Exactly. You're just creating a controlled environment that helps people make a decision they already kind of want to make.
This all sounds great, but it assumes you have an audience in the first place. I can hear people listening right now thinking, okay, but I have no list. I have no followers.
And that is the single biggest barrier for most people, which brings us right to principle number 3, the seed launch. This is the solution for starting from absolute zero.
The 0 to 1 mechanism. I like that.
That's what it is. It eliminates the need for a big audience, and it even eliminates the need for a finished product.
Wait, a finished product? How does that work? You don't build the whole thing first?
No. This is the genius of it. You just create the product outline, the promise of what you're going to create.
Oh,
Then you go out and find a tiny group of people. I mean tiny, 5 to 10 people who desperately need the solution you're promising.
and you offer to co-create the product with them, right? For a big discount or even for free.
Exactly. And in exchange, you need 2 things from them: constant feedback as you build it, and most importantly, testimonials and measurable results.
But you're building the course or the product week by week based on what this tiny group is actually struggling with.
Yes, it guarantees your product solves a real painful problem because it's being forged in the real world. You're not guessing anymore.
And the example of the Instagram marketing guide for restaurants makes this so clear. You don't need a huge email list.
No, you just post in a few local business forums. Find 5 restaurant owners who are willing to be your founding members.
You work with them, you track their before and after engagement, and when you're ready for the big public launch,
You're not selling some theoretical guide anymore. You're selling a proven system, and you have 5 real case studies with actual results to prove it. The proof is baked in.
that is powerful. And that leads us right into the next principle, which is all about creating those revenue spikes we talked about. Principle 4, the open-close cart strategy.
This is a big one. The default for most businesses is just always be open, available 24/7.
Which seems logical. Why would you ever turn a customer away?
Because, as Walker argues, it absolutely kills urgency. If I know I can buy it any time, human nature dictates I will buy it later.
And later never comes.
Later rarely comes. The open-close strategy forces what's called decision compression. The product is only available for a short, specific window, say 4 or 5 days, and then the cart slams shut.
It still feels so unnatural to tell people no, especially when they have their credit card out. How do you justify that?
You justify it by turning the purchase from a simple transaction into an anticipated event. Think about the Facebook ads course example. Instead of just making a few random sales every month,
You launch it just 4 times a year, January, April, July, October, for only 5 days each time.
all right, and you get these huge, predictable spikes of revenue. That is product multiplication in action.
And the key is what you're doing in the 12 weeks between those launches.
Absolutely. You're not just sitting around. You're improving the product based on feedback. You're giving amazing support to your new students. And you're building anticipation. You're driving new leads to a wait list for the July launch.
So the product becomes a ritual, an event people look forward to, not just another thing on a digital shelf.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Okay, we've covered how to deliver value, how to drive action, how to start from nothing, and how to create urgency. Principle 5 brings it all together. It's the blueprint, the 4-sequence formula.
This is the orchestration.
Yeah.
And it's so important because most people, when they launch, they only do phase 3 of this. They miss all the setup and all the follow-up.
And that's where most of the money is left on the table.
A huge amount of it. So let's break down the 4 phases.
Let's do it.
Phase 1 is the pre-launch. This is pure curiosity. It's weeks, maybe a month out. You're just dropping hints. Something big is coming next month.
The goal there is just to build a little buzz and maybe segment your audience, find out who's interested.
That's all. Then comes phase 2, the pre-launch. This is your sideways sales letter, the 7 to 10 days of high-value content that build all that trust and desire we talked about.
Got it. Then phase 3 is the main event. the launch. The cart is open for those 3 to 7 days. This is when you're pushing the bonuses, the urgency, all of that.
Right. But then, and this is the part people always skip, comes phase 4, the post-launch.
The post-launch. So this is after the initial frenzy, but before the cart actually closes.
Exactly. It's usually the last 24 to 48 hours.
And why is that so critical? Who's still waiting to buy at that point?
The logical buyers, the fence sitters,
Yeah.
the people who needed to see other people jump in first. They needed to read all the FAQs. They needed that social proof.
So in the post-launch, you're following up with them specifically?
Yes. You share testimonials from people who just bought in the first 48 hours. You do a final Q&A to handle any lingering objections. And you hit them with that final, last chance urgency before the doors close for good.
So it's a layered approach. You're catching the impulsive early adopters in the launch phase, and then you're mopping up all the slower, more considered buyers in the post-launch.
You're maximizing your conversions across the entire spectrum of buyer psychology. That is the difference between hoping for sales and strategically engineering them.
Okay, so let's recap this whole massive shift. We're moving away from just announcing a product and hoping people buy.
And we're moving toward creating these orchestrated events,
Built on the sideways sales letter for value.
powered by mental triggers to create action,
Kicked off with a seed launch if you're starting from scratch.
governed by an open-close cart to force a decision.
And executed with the full 4-sequence formula to maximize every sale.
It's about transforming your business from one that has, unpredictable spotty income to one with predictable massive revenue spikes.
Let's give everyone listening an immediate action step they can take right now. Let's call it the sideways sales letter plan.
I love it.
So right now, identify one thing in your business you could launch or even relaunch. Grab a piece of paper, a doc, whatever.
And write down this one core question. What are 3 valuable things I could teach for free that would inherently create an intense desire for my paid offer?
Just map out the titles, the promise of each piece of content. Remember, pure teaching. No selling allowed yet.
And then the final step. Pull out your calendar and set a hard, concrete date for when your cart will open, maybe 3 or 4 weeks from now. Just by doing that, you've planned your very first strategic demand-building event.
This is so much more than just selling a product. It's about taking control of your entire revenue cycle.
It really is. The mental shift is profound.
Yeah.
You stop waiting for customers to find you, and you start actively building and compressing demand into these predictable windows. But here's a final thought I want to leave you with. If you really commit to this, if you adopt the open-close strategy and you're only open for business maybe 4 times a year, think about how that forced downtime completely changes how you have to plan your marketing.
That's a really good point. What are you doing in the other 48 weeks of the year?
Exactly. Are you just waiting for the next launch? Or are you strategically building a content engine that's constantly growing your waitlist, warming up your audience, and building even more anticipation for the next event? Sustainable product multiplication isn't just about the launch week. It's about what you do in the weeks you're closed.